Okay, family. This is your soul brother Talib. Right back at you today. Um, yes. I want to go in quickly on a topic with you in this video. Which will be titled "We Must Separate." Now, with that said, I just want to say that in the midst of what's been going on, not only for the past 4 years here in America, but even before that, going way past back before that, up to this point now, I must say that although I am no longer a part of the so-called black conscious community, but I do still agree, you know, when you just put the religious stuff aside for a moment. Let's say that I still, which I do agree with some, you know, essential things that people like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, people like the Honorable Marcus Garvey, you know, and even a few things here and there that people like a leader I once followed named Dr. Malachi Z. York would say. And what people like Yahweh Yahweh Ben Yahweh would say, or what even people like Ben Amy Carter would say, and the list goes on. But I must say this though, that of course I don't agree with their religious ideologies and a lot of other stuff that goes along with what I don't agree with. But that don't mean that the things that exactly make sense, you know what I'm saying, that I would just totally abandon to the side. No, that's not me. So I just wanna and I usually don't quote nothing by nobody, let alone from a book. But out this book called Message to the Black Man that was written by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, even a couple years before my time on this earth began, which was back in 1965, of course. I just want to say that here are some important words that still apply to the so-called American Negro today here in the United States of America. And it applies even more, as I'm going to start this video off with a couple quotes from out of one of the pages, or what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad spoke on in regarding us, being in need of separation from our over 400-year enemy oppressor in this country, okay? And, one thing he definitely said, which was true right here, which I would start from this little excerpt and what he said out of the message of the black man. It's on page 203, and I guess it ends on the next side of the page. But anyway, here he goes on to say, we cannot compete in business unless we unite and get some of this earth so that we can produce our own people's need. Okay, of course, that's included in the Mississippi campaign. We've been talking about that for the longest, as far as growing our own food, once we could take control of a state. And then he talks about it is the right time that we seek separation and independence for our nation, meaning us as a group of people, because we're not no nation. We don't have the rudiments or what comes along with being a nation essentially. Still, but as a group of people, of course, which he's referring to us as is the so-called American Negro, or whatever else we want to call ourselves, okay? But anyway, as he goes on to say, uh, when he says, once again, I'm gonna go back a little bit, when he says we seek separation and independence for our nation from the evils of our open enemies, okay, which is our over 400 year Caucasian oppressors in this country. And then he says here, and not the foolish things other organizations are doing. They want our people integrated into our open enemies to be destroyed as a people. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. Okay, now, with that said, now, I must say this here, you know, and that's not only true in the case of the other organizations he spoke about and the other accumulated organizations that have came about since the time that he wrote this book, but also including his organization, because his organization, which was founded by him and his leader, Master Fard Muhammad, over 80 plus some years ago, still has not been successful in separating from our open enemy oppressors. Nor have they done anything to show and improve that that's what they're willing to do as an organization called the Nation of Islam, of course. And I must also say that this is why the Operation Exodus Mississippi campaign is so important. Because what organizations like the Nation of Islam, the NWACP, the Moorish Science Temple of America, the so-called Nubian Nation, or whatever they call themselves now, or the Hebrew Israelites, have failed at doing in terms of us taking control of a few states, especially those southern states where our ancestors were forced to pick cotton and sugarcane. Okay, that would be the best place of opportunity for us to do that. But because we're so disunified, and as he said, because our people still want to, our leadership still want to keep us integrated with our enemy oppressor, is what's destroying us, in fact. And, with that said, I have to say too that we are in a situation right now in this country as a people is what we just saw, and I don't want to keep speaking on that too much as far as what happened in Washington, D.C. a couple of days ago, as far as the attack on the U.S. Capitol, because, that's their problem, like someone said in a live stream video we did yesterday from our platform, A Reality Temple on Earth, that should be a great opportunity for us as black people. Speaking of those who refer to themselves also as African Americans, Negroes, and whatnot else, it's a good time for us to do what we need to do to separate ourselves while our enemies are at each other's throats right now, as they were during the civil war. Okay, this would be a great time for us to actually come together, pull our heads together, pull our heads up out the mud, pull our heads together and pull our resources together, including those of you who are more financially well off than millions of our people who are living poor as well as living in poverty, where you can help us, to actually take control of a state like starting with Mississippi, where we can grow our own food, where we can expandedly establish our own commerce and businesses and all this other good stuff that we always be talking about, and where we will have more leverage to be able to do it with having control of a state behind us, you see. So this is what it's coming down to, We would never have that unless we have something like a solid foundation such as a state behind us, you know. Other than that, all this little tiddly bit stuff like owning a business here and there, owning some property or land here and there, or having a few of us as million or billionaires here and there ain't gonna do it. It just simply ain't gonna do it. While we also as a people remain separated and all divided and scattered out, you know what I'm saying? Like a plague, you know, coming and going, and it's like we are headed, in fact, as someone said, to the point of extermination, and maybe in that case we may be better off, because at the end of the day, there's no other oppressed group of people in history of this planet Earth that has constantly fought and did everything in their own power to stay integrated with an enemy oppressor that simply just don't like us, and it's showing constantly, you know what I'm saying? And, to piggyback off of what I said, dealing with that situation on the U.S. Capitol that took place a couple of days ago when the president incited his supporters to riot, at the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C. That is a sign clearly to show you what type of people we're amongst. And, like someone said, we should take, a chapter up out of that situation and learn from that to understand what type of people we're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? And I know it's gonna hurt some of you because you have close associates and ties, with your Caucasian enemy oppressors, and with even those Caucasians who may have racists in their families or have some type of ties or what with somebody that is a racist from among their group, and whether it be your daughter or son being half Caucasian or whatever, or your wife or husband being a Caucasian, or your friends being a Caucasian. Well, you got to look at it like this. Understand something, and this is the reality of what the situation is that if things get worse, how would they feel about you as an individual? Okay, you got to look at that because it's very important that you look at that. What you just saw them doing in Washington, D.C., if they did that, like someone said, over accusations of a rigged election, or a fraudulent election, then what would they do if they run out of food and water supply? You see what I'm saying? And then with their mentality already, with the fact that because they don't have jobs or whatever, who they first blame all the time, we ain't got to take a guess. We know who, which is the so-called American Negro. Okay? So who are the first people they will look at and take their frustrations out on? See, we got to understand this for what it is. And this is why separation is so important. Where I live at here in Nebraska, I have to deal with this every day. And my everyday, you know what I'm saying, daily life activities, I have to run across this type of attitude every day because I understand what I'm living amongst and who I'm dealing with. And I can see it written all over their faces, as well as even in their actions, of course, And, you know, they actually, you know, don't care for us. And would vote for Trump or somebody like Mitch McConnell to just make sure we don't have nothing, even if it means that they don't have nothing. You see what I'm saying? So these are the type of people that we're actually dealing with. And we need to understand and realize that and come to our senses and stop, you know what I'm saying, thinking that these people love us. These people have no love for us. They showing it day in and day out, time from time, time after time. And I've come to the point, you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I live around a bunch of them, okay? And, it's like this here, I have to realize and understand that it's going to be at this point hard for me to even trust a Caucasian until they can actually prove that they're not a racist. And I ain't talking about as far as words that come out their mouth, but through their mere actions. It's just that simple. And that's where I stand at with that, you know, uh, at this point in time, you know what I'm saying, I have experienced enough with living closely around them to understand and see how they live and actually how they think, more so than the average black that's living in a bigger urban setting like Detroit or Chicago or Baltimore is able to see, because they're not living closely in proximity around these Caucasians like where I live here in Nebraska. You see what I'm saying? Or some other state that's even is more populated with Caucasians than anybody else like Nebraska. Okay. Now, once again, with that said, we must understand and realize this is what we're dealing with. And unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say this here. When I moved here, all this stuff dealing with racism and all that, yeah, I knew I was gonna come face to face with it. But at the same time, I have to be honest. Cause I don't know everything either, okay? Like just everybody else don't know everything. But I had to really be honest and say, you know what? I've actually seen the worstest of the worst come out of them. More so than I would have seen had I still been living in a place like Detroit. Or, another city that's more populated with black people like Detroit. You see? So, I've begun to really see more of how their attitude is and how they really feel and think about us as so-called Black Americans in this country, and how they've always thought about us. You see what I'm saying? So, and this is why I tell those of you who are fellow dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America that are living in major cities or even smaller cities that are more black populated as well, like some major cities that are, that it's not a good idea to pack up and just go move around white folk because you think you're going to be more better off or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's not a good idea. But you do what you want to do. You grown. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying that's not a good idea. That's all I'm going to just say about that. And had I understood the magnitude of how my situation would be where I'm living at, I probably wouldn't have never came here either. Okay? I just want you to know that. Okay? Because we all make, misfortunate decisions at times. Everybody don't make perfect decisions. Improvingly, I don't neither, okay? So, for those of you that may have a question, well, why did you move to some place like Nebraska? I'm telling you. I'm giving you a clear answer to your question. Or to your pre-assumed question. That when I got here, I knew that I would possibly come across a little racism, but not to this magnitude like it is now, especially with the way that things are in this country. Okay? And like I said before, I've learned through this experience, and when I move on from this experience, I would know which best route to take. You know what I'm saying? And and so I won't be in a situation like this again. Okay? But I just want to say that, we have to understand something here. That no matter where we go in these United States of America, we still got to deal with the races. But it will be minimized if we are in certain places where it's more of us at as far as black people are concerned. That would help minimize the situation with that. Okay? That would definitely help minimize the situation with that. You see? But the thing about it is that, we would, you understand, and this is why it's important, once again, that we take control of a state like Mississippi, which is the only state that has the biggest majority population of dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America. And then starting with that, then we could become successful and then move on to Alabama and places like Georgia. And where more of our people are spread out at, far as heavy population go, where we could take control of the laws of those states that will benefit us and protect us, okay, from what we experience right now as a people in this country, where we could grow our food, where we ain't got to eat out the kitchen of the enemy, okay? We could grow our own food and know how our own food is being produced, well as when it's being grown, okay? At our own hands and not at the hands of someone else, especially that don't have our best interests at heart as a people, okay? And with that said, this is very important. This is very important. And this is, I can't say this no more different than I've already said it, and I mean, even, and many may refer to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as being a sellout or Uncle Tom or whatever. But you know what? There were great qualities about that man, okay? Irregardless of what we think about him, okay? And at the latter part of his life, he would go on to make statements like there are two different Americas. One, of course, Caucasian, pink Caucasian, and of course, one which is black, which I preferably call dark skin, okay? And yes, it is still two different Americas today. Even then, when he made that statement over 50 years ago, right before his own death, and this is where we still find ourselves at in this nation. And no matter what type of gains we claim we have made or think we've made since the time that he died, if anything, a lot of those gains is being pushed back, through the same system that helped created them laws, what we benefited from in terms of those gains through the civil rights movement. Some of those laws have been turned back, even under the very administration of former President Barack Obama, your black president. How did that happen under his administration? You see what I'm saying? But yet you so happy that it was a black president. Okay. Symbolically, it's one way that some could look at that. But then, at the same time, what did it really benefit us? Look at the position and the shape that we're in today. you know? I mean, and then we got to understand who's finna come in there. The same one that served under him as vice president, he don't have our best interests, to be truthful. That's why he got to be forced to do the right thing, as they say. If he's going to do anything right, okay, he's got to be literally forced by the people and those, what they call progressives in progressive politics, okay? He's got to be forced. But see, that's another thing. That's another subject altogether, okay, which I don't even want to speak on in this video. But however, I must say that he has a history of being discriminatory toward black and brown people in this country, like with him signing that 1994 Crime Reform Act bill that destroyed millions of lives and continue to affect many black and brown lives today in this country. Okay? So let's not forget that. I know we want Trump up out of there, but let's not forget that about Joe Biden either. Okay? Let's not forget that. It's just point blank and simple. And let's remember that by the people getting in the street and putting force behind that progressive machine that will make him do what he need to do, even if he don't want to do it. Okay? Because we still got to live in this country. You know what I'm saying? And the reality is that if we don't take control of a state where we create our own laws to protect us and to benefit us, otherwise, then what else is we going to depend on? You know? So there it is. That's why we are in bad shape. is what my point actually is. That's why we're in bad shape like we are. And this is why we're better off being dead, or as someone say, exterminated. Because we are at the mercy of people, whether they Democrat or Republican, that just simply don't give a damn about us. And the fact of the matter is that, you know, you can't really trust. I remember that it was a saying by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that you cannot trust a black politician, and that's true. And like one said yesterday in a live stream hangout I did, is that those black politicians that are in Washington don't control the laws that are being made in this nation. They're just standbys who help enforce those laws. That's it. You know, or enforce legislation in those laws. They do not create those laws. It's a difference with that, okay? But we put ourselves in a position of power by taking control of a state. What we can create and make laws to benefit us, then that's a whole nother different ball game. Now, they got the answer to our command or what we want and not what we demand or ask them for. You see, that's a difference. And this is the reason why I'm saying that it's very important we take control of a state and separate ourselves. Because not only that we're at the mercy of a people that don't have our best interests, we're at the mercy of even being among a population in general that could do anything they want to do to us, basically. We are all-out open season target. Whether we realize it or not, we are an all-out open season target for these people. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I live here, where I live at in Nebraska, I see it all the time. You know, and blatantly, they ain't got to call you the N-word straight up. They could do little innuendo things, you know, which is a different from how the racist Peckerwood in the South would do, of course, because I have lived in the South too, and there's a difference with that. But I'm just saying that, you know, here in the Midwest, in the part of the Midwest where I live anyway, as well, is that they would do even innuendo things which are racist. You know, you know what I'm saying? Where hopefully you won't notice it in their actions. And see, that's more dangerous when you're dealing with that type of racism. That's more dangerous than the straight out racism. Like the white man in the South always, you know, brings to the so-called American Negro. See here, you know, now you have a few here that'll call you the N-word or whatever, but a lot of times, they, you know, carry out indirect racism or you know, the type of racism that you, like I said, that they think you won't notice, you see, or they'll try to make you not notice. And that's what you got to deal with. You know, living like in this type of environment. And it's worse. And Nebraska was also known historically as a state for lynching black people too. Not just like Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, but places like Nebraska and other Midwestern states near here like Kansas and Oklahoma. in Missouri. They were known for lynching black people. That's no doubt. So and this is what mainstream history don't teach. Okay, this is what your mainstream educational system in America do not teach, especially to 12th grade students, to 12th grade school students. They don't teach that type of stuff because they don't want you to know that just as crazy, as ruthless as them Peckerwoods is in the South with their racism, they the same way right here in the Midwest, just like they is everywhere else around the country. It's no different. And we need to understand and know that. That's why the NAACP did not come out a few years ago with a memorandum for nothing, informing so-called American Negroes that you're traveling through the state of Missouri at your own risk. They came out with that memorandum for a reason. I've traveled through the state of Missouri. Matter of fact, it's right bordered along with Nebraska. So I've always traveled back and forth between here and Missouri. And I'm going to tell you something. And I've lived in Missouri. Okay, Missouri ain't no piece of cake. It ain't no piece of walk in the park cake. It's not no easy walk in the park. Missouri, as far as when it comes to its racism, for real. It is, and we got to remember, Missouri was also a Confederate state. They were on the side of the Confederate during the Civil War. So they were a slave state as well. So, we have to remember that all over this country, that wherever you go, I don't care, north, south, east, Midwest, you are, far as these races concerned, the N-word. And whenever you dealing with them, no matter where you are in these 50 states, especially here in the continental United States, you are going to be the N-word. And it's just that simple. And this is why it's so important for us to take control of a couple of states where we control the laws so we could be protected from that. Because we are never going to have the same equality treatment. Just like with that situation when they raided the Capitol or broke into the Capitol the other day. Now, let that have been some Black Lives Matter protesters, of course. And I can't say that I don't know how much more I could say that. But let it have been Black Lives Matter protesters that broke in that U.S. Capitol. Them National Guards would have been on the steps blocking that. Wouldn't no Black Lives protesters even made it inside the Capitol, let alone the Capitol chambers, where them racist white supremacists was able to even get inside of. You know what I'm saying? Steal paperwork and all other kind of stuff, even out of the offices like the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, where you seen some racist Peckerwood sitting right at the seat of her desk with his feet kicked up on her table. Even though his dumb ass going to jail, but that's what it is. And see, this is the thing that we have to understand and realize, that there's a set of laws that apply to one people, and there are a set of laws that apply to another people. This summer, when you seen how them same Capitol Police in Washington, D.C. rained down on the black protesters, where you had the federal police spraying and tear gassing them. Why didn't we see that a couple of days ago when them Trump protesters broke into the U.S. Capitol including the ones that didn't, that was still there present while all that was going on. You see, once again, it's a set of rules that's set aside, that's for this group of people, and it's a set of rules that's for this group of people. How clear is that not to understand? Fam, we are living in an unequal country where we have never been equals and where we will never be equals. That's why it's so important for us to take control of a state. Far as us as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America is concerned. And this is why we need to understand and recognize that. And until we recognize that, we're going to keep getting that same treatment brought to us in that exact unequal manner. And that's just simple and point blank as that. And like I said, I don't know how much more I could put it as, but this is the way it is. You know, every day I go out here in these streets because of this majority white population that I'm around here in Nebraska. I got to be careful on how I move in these streets. I got to be careful how I move out there in them streets. It's just that simple. Although, yeah, we got to be careful wherever we at when we moving out and about in the streets. But especially being black in so-called white America, and you in places like here where it's a majority of white people, or Caucasian people rather to say, a dark-skinned person of soul got to be conscious of how they move in the streets. And it's just that simple. You know, we got to be conscious of how we move in the streets when we're in these certain type of pockets of this nation where there are a majority of Caucasians. We can't be, and it's just that way. Until we take control of a state where we have our own laws and what we could do, as they say, our own thing like we want to do. This is what we got to deal with. And that is just the reality of it. You know, you could try to act all big and bad, all tough, and say, well, I do whatever I want to do no matter where I go. Well, yeah, you could say that. But like someone said yesterday, until you are in that certain particular situation where you could feel like you could just do anything and say anything and act any way you want to act, especially around a different culture, a different group of people, especially that don't like your ass, then you'll find out quick how much you could do what you want to do. You see what I'm saying? And see, that's the thing with black people. What gets me about other so-called black Americans is that you think you just go anywhere in America, travel anywhere in America, and think you could be yourself and do what you want to do. And no, it just don't work like that, fam. The reality is it just don't work like that. You know, and it's not about being no punk or coward or thinking or some, you know, no. It's about using intelligence. It's about having wisdom, as someone would say. You know, you got to know what you're doing when you out and about. And it's just that simple. Especially even when you traveling through the land. You got to know what you're dealing with and how to move. Unless we get control of a couple of states and then have our own domain set up where we ain't got to worry about being more cautious, living a life of being more cautious, even living a life in fear, because that's part of the reality, or living a life just being black or dark skinned. You know what I mean? That could cost you your life. Just your skin color could cost you your life. It could cost you your freedom. See, That's the reality of the whole entire situation, family. That's part of the reality of the whole entire situation that you're not looking at while you thinking reckless, acting reckless. Well, since you want to do what you want to do, let's come together and unite and stop being so pathetic and put our crazy differences to the side so we could liberate ourselves and separate ourselves from an oppressor, because that's just how it is right now. Unless we want to keep getting what we get. You know, I mean, how many times is you gonna see how the police constantly get away with killing people like a Breonna Taylor, or Michael Brown, or Eric Gardner, or Tamir Rice, and the list goes on. You know what I'm saying? How many times is we gonna see even someone getting a racist cop getting away with just shooting a black person, a unarmed black person, like what happened in Colchester, Wisconsin last summer, where even the Department of Justice decide not to charge the police, like in that particular shooting. You see what I'm saying? And this is the federal government we talking about, you see. So we are at the mercy of a people that don't give a damn about us. We got to take our freedom. We got to take our liberation. That's what it comes down to. Or else we might as well just accept the slave-like condition that we are in, accept the slave-like condition we in, and just die being a slave. You know, and preferably, to tell you the truth, before it get worse, I'd rather die before it get worse, because it's gonna get worse. Just sit back. Keep being comfortable in your oppression. Keep wanting to be so integrated with your slave oppressor. You see what I'm saying? With your oppressor. And see what you keep getting. This ain't no game. You know? Like someone said yesterday. Oh, Talib, Angel Snup Snup 7, Sister Noble Levine is crazy. They don't know what the hell they talking about. Okay. Well, you've been listening to them other people who really don't know what the hell they talking about, and see what that's got you. Right? And I don't give a damn if they do got 100,000 subscribers, 1 million subscribers. See what they are saying and where that's gotten you. Okay? That's all I'm gonna just say for that, you know. But the thing about it is that, you know, like I said, and piggybacking off of what was said yesterday as well by someone else, you know, that, hey, just because somebody got 100,000 followers or subscribers don't mean that they right, because they say whatever they say when they open their mouth. That don't mean that they're right. You know, and I don't know how more simple that could be put, you know. So I mean, hey, you know, you could keep you know, thinking the way you think, and I'm talking directly straight to those of you who are fellow dark-skinned descendants of slaves born here in America, that you need to just wake up and understand what this is all about. For real, just like it is. Pure and uncut, raw reality. And, you know, take a different approach toward it, because the approach that you're taking toward it is simply not worked. And that's all I'm saying, you know. And with that said, I mean, you know, I'm not gonna be on here long, but I just wanted to get a couple of things off my chest out there, just to let y'all know that This thing is getting worse and it ain't gonna get no better. And what you gonna do is just keep sitting back doing what you're doing, or getting along with this soul train called the Mississippi Campaign, joining us here at Operation Exodus Mississippi platform so we can, you know, get our freedom by taking it. And it's just that simple. And the way we talking about doing it is not illegal, it's legal. It's not no way like with them crazy crackers who tried to pull that stunt at the U.S. Capitol is doing, which is called insurrection and terrorism. We not about that here at this platform. I just want to make that clear. We're not about insurrection or terrorism at Operation Exodus Mississippi platform. That ain't what we're about. I just want to make that clear. That's why I said what we're trying to do is legal. Pure, uncut, 1000% legal. Nothing else. No more or less. And with that said, I just want to just add those few words on. And I mean, if you if you want to you know what I'm saying, come along, you're welcome. Bring any ideal that we might could look at that can work to help this thing get the rolling. And if you got something even better than this, bring it on. We welcome whatever it is that's gonna get the job done. That's all it is to that. And we can't let religion or belief get in the way of this either. I know many of you have your religious ideologies and beliefs, but it's best right now that we all keep whatever beliefs we have, whether it be religious or any other, countering ideologies that's going to get in the way of this liberation path that we're on. We need to keep that to the side completely. And it's just that simple. And let's put our mere tangible ideals together that could make this thing work right. And that's as simple as that, And with that said, I just want you to know that we need to understand that. And we need to really come together. Because we're at the mercy of people that hate our guts. And that really want us exterminated altogether. And it can happen. Like someone said, and I'm going to repeat again, like someone said, where they've worked in the trucking field and actually seen thousands of animals getting killed, okay? So, I mean, it ain't like the same thing can't happen to us. You know what I'm saying? It's not like the same thing can't happen to us humanly. It's possible, okay? So I just want to leave that thought with you as well for you to reflect on. And with that said, I'm going to be out the 5,000 and peace.